if Cleo don't snap out of it and get herself locked back into reality, I don't know what we're going to do, y'all.
Get it, don't be timid when you in it, apply that. Love a bone, give along, need it. I don't want no trip, baby, spend like
My name is Ashley, and this is My Sweet Perspective, where I give my take on all things TV and movie related, and I am here to put you on, okay? So we are back to talk Lady in the Lake, Season 1, Episode 3. I was first to see her dead. You were last to see her alive. And a lot went on this episode. I believe that the director and writers were truly tapping into all of the surrealism in this episode, because what kind of alternate reality dreamscapes were we witnessing? So as the episode opens up, we see young Cleo dreaming, right? And we see the lamb, and she's covered with this white sheet, and I'm like, okay, what does this represent? Because initially I'm thinking, all right, a lamb is innocence. We later discover that a lamb represents loss of happiness followed by wealth in the dream book. Okay, as she awakens, she hears her mom and dad going back and forth. We meet Cleo's dad, who was a gambler, a musician, working for Shell, but had lost his trumpet, right? The thing that I guess he used to provide for the family. And the wife was like, listen, if you don't come back with that trumpet, don't come back at all. I'm taking Cleo and we're going to be up out of there. And in this moment, we truly get to see the relationship between Cleo and her father, which is actually a really kind of touching moment, right? She wakes up and she's like, Daddy, I have $10, put this on this, and you can try to win your trumpet back. But meanwhile, he's bleeding, and she says, well, no, this isn't a handout. This isn't for free. You're going to have to work for it. And then we get to see she and her father singing together. And it was really kind of a precious moment, but also a sad moment, because I think we realize in this that her father has set the tone for the men that she'll encounter for the rest of her life. We also find out in this moment that Shell has been around since she was a wee girl. Okay. And so now present day, we see Cleo and she's running scared, because we know about the botched job at the end of episode 2, where she was running for her life in her powder blue jacket. Okay. We saw her running for her life, and she decides to call Reggie. And she's like, listen, I'm going to tell Shell because he needs to help me. And he's like, don't tell Shell. I'll take care of it. Just lay low. You're not working this week. Just chill out until things get back to normal. All right. And she's like, okay. And my thing is in this moment, I'm calling Shell directly. Screw Reggie and his jacked up eye. He has nothing he can see clearly. Okay. And there's nothing that he can tell me. All right. Nothing at all. Meanwhile, we see Maddie and she's getting her ears pierced, which is not according to orthodoxy, right? It's against the grain, because you're not supposed to put holes in your body or have markings, because it messes with the divine, is what her explanation is. And we see her with Judith, and Judith pining away. I could care less about that. All right. And so now we hear Cleo's voice talking to Maddie, and she is like, writing dreams ruined your life. Why drag her into it? You know what I mean? Writing dreams ruined your life. Okay. And we find out so much more about Maddie this episode. Again, while this isn't my favorite episode thus far, it really kind of annoyed me. It's not for the sake of the work, because the work continues to be beautiful. Visually, this is stunning, super appealing. No episode thus far has disappointed me with the visuals. It's just the activities of these characters and the decisions. Okay. And so now we see Maddie going to the Star about a job. Maddie and her level of privilege is unknown to most of the world. Okay. Because we come to find out that she ain't really go to school for journalism. He said, what'd you do? You wrote in the school paper, and that's basically what she did in high school. But she wants a job. And not only does she want a job, but she wants an advance. And so not only does she get the job, but she gets the advance to pay the rent in her raggedy new apartment. As far as the case is concerned with Congresswoman Summers or Senator Summers, whatever she is, we find out that she was shot in the foot, and that Platt is on the case, honey, and he's investigating and already knows that Cleo was a part of it. Already knows that Cleo was the driver. And he says, listen, I'll try to keep you safe as long as I can. If you come with me and talk to the people. And she says, what people? He says, the police, come down to the station. And she's like, oh, the same police that take a payout from Shell every week? Oh, no. Oh, no. And she's like, keep me safe for how long? He says, well, you know how these things go, Cleo. Platt's so worried about playing undercover lover to Maddie that he can't even help Cleo in her time of need. And I think this is really poignant and very telling because, sir, what are you doing? What are you doing tipping and dipping, going up side rails, the drop down ladders, y'all know, from the walk up, sneaking in like you're a burglar? Like we're role playing already. This is just your second time getting Bucky naked. I don't think we had to do all the extras. And this scene was dry as well. Not a 2-pump Chuck. That's how I felt about it. You in the bath. I mean, it was just, this is not sexy. This love affair between Platt and daggum Maddie is not sexy at all. And I really wish we could limit those scenes. Okay. We could limit those scenes. Meanwhile, we see Cleo dreaming again, right? And this time she's seeing Cleo's dad holding her son on a trolley with no driver. And Tessie is feeding that same little lamb. Again, I'm trying to put it together. And the only thing I can kind of see is, of course, Cleo entering into her dark era, right? It's almost like the loss of innocence. And people being sacrificed. When I think about a lamb, I think about the blood, honey, and I think about a sacrifice. All right. And so now when she wakes up, she sees her baby boy and he's completely jaundiced. His eyes are completely yellow and she is traumatized. And so she talks to her mom because we know that she's been staying at her mama's house. And the mom is like, okay, you've tried everything else. You've tried every doctor. Let's bring the preacher. And why does she bring the preacher? Now, y'all know I'm saved, okay? I'm definitely a Christian, but this pissed me off to the next level of pissed offedness that I could be, potentially, okay? Because what sort of bloodletting, witchcraft, and wizardry services are you providing, all right? And then the fact that, how much do you care about your son? How much is he worth to you? Really? It's about the money. It's about the money, but I can't deny that this is what goes on. And this is why people have such a bad taste about church and God and Christianity as a whole because of this foolery that happens. And it still happens today, y'all. It still happens today. And so Cleo is kind of heartbroken. She's like, how much does God want? How much does he want? And the pastor's like, well, it's not like that. It's about how much you're willing to sacrifice and give. Sir, of all of the things you could do, you see this baby has sickle cell. You see that she's desperate. And this is what you do. Again, another moment that sent me. But I mean, it happens. It really happens. Okay. And so Cleo talks about at this point, Cleo's been looking for everyone, right? But in the end, she was her own savior. No one was going to come save her, basically. She had to save herself. She was sinking. And at this point, she believed she deserved to drown. And so, baby, she just said she's going to go down in style. And this is Dora's last night in the club before she's going to Paris. And so, listen, Cleo said, I'm going to get dressed. I'm going to serve all of these looks. I'm going to serve these lashes. I'm going to serve this face, these lips, this body. Okay. And I'm going to kick off these shoes and I'm going to dance like it's the last dance. And that's exactly what she did, honey. Again, as far as the aesthetic, beautiful. I loved this scene. It was almost like she was in battle. It was almost like kind of like she was in war while she was dancing with these different partners and they're flinging her and she's coming back with force and they're flinging her again. And at some point, it's like she just gives out because she's given all that she had. And so she gets up and she goes to Shell's table and drinks. And she's like, yeah, because Reggie's going to save you, Reggie spills the drink. It's a big mess. Shell is looking confused. I'm looking confused. Dora on the stage, honey, is looking confused. Everybody is. And I just want to say this. Dora better sang down Nina Simone. Sea Lion Woman, yes. Yes, because they did that. This scene was amazing. And so she finally makes it home because Slappy's there and he's watching. He's like, what is my wife doing? What's going on with you? And she pulled a whole monsters ball, make me feel good, make me feel good. And he says, listen, no, tell me what's going on. Tell me what's going on. And basically, she's like, I'm going through this. I'm going through this. I feel like life is falling apart. I'm trying to make it. And he's like, well, let me help you. And she's like, how are you going to help me? You got your dreams. You following a dream. And he's like, I want you to dream too. And she basically says, you want me to think about dreaming and I am drowning, sir. Like to me, the disconnect between she and her husband and the way that he sees life is bizarre to me. And so now we see Maddie waking up late, all right, going to pick up her raggedy son, Seth. And we find out that it was a college fair that she's late for. And he's a menace to society. He's like, well, the good mothers want their children to go off to college, but apparently you don't care because you're living in Negro land I think is what he said. And I mean, he's not wrong. Her priorities are all jacked up. And so he's ready to go home after the college fair. And she says, no, come back to my apartment. He's like, I really have no desire to go there. And so she brings him over there and he's not impressed. All right. And so in the midst of all this, he's like, I just don't understand this. I don't know why you left my dad. I don't know what's going on. And she, in this moment, decides this is the moment to tell him that Milton ain't even his daddy. And he says, listen, I already know about your poetry. I found your diary. You didn't lock it up. So apparently you wanted me to read it. And I knew that you cheated on dad, but like I was trying to hide it because I didn't want the family messed up. But now you tell me I have a different dad. That doesn't even matter. He's been the only dad that I've ever known. He's been there for me. Basically, he's better than you. Maddie. This was never going to do it. And he knows who you are, which explains why he has such a disdain for you in general. Platt knows, again, Cleo that was driving. And again, he said he could keep her safe for a minute. Now, the next scene we see is finally Cleo coming up with some kind of plan. It's a raggedy plan, but she's coming up with a plan. So she talks to her oldest son, Teddy, and is like, tell me about all the people that you bet with. Okay. Tell me about all them people. Tell me what's going on currently. And so he does. And then she goes to see Dora. Dora is high as a kite because Shell's getting her high. Okay. And we know that Reggie kind of likes her in this state. I don't think Reggie means anybody good but himself. We do get a deeper dive into he and Shell's relationship. And it seems more like a father-son. They seem very connected. He says that he would jump off a cliff, honey, before he would ever say a wrong word about Shell. And Shell's like, but it would hurt me to see you fall. I said, well, okay, that's cute. And so now they are in the room with Dora, and Cleo makes a proposition to Reggie, and she is like, I know what Shell does. It's a rigged bet. Just give me the number. I'll put 50 on it. I'll collect $30,000. I'll give you 10%. I'll get out of town. He says, what about your boys? She said, you worried about my boys now? You done put me in this situation, Reggie. I know that Shell don't know. This was all you. And now you want to get rid of me. So then she goes to a high Dora and proceeds to tell Dora, if he does anything to me, if anything happens, he did it. And I'm thinking, girl, she high as a kite. What makes you think she's going to remember that? She says, Reggie, you better give me that number. If you don't, I'm going to tell everything. Meanwhile, again, they done gave Maddie the job. So now she is investigating with the head, journalist. And they go to the coroner's office and we find out that they attempted to essay Tessie. But the suspect that they have in custody has no scratches. And so she's already made a way to try and meet with him. So assuming in episode 4, we'll get to see their interaction of Maddie interviewing the fish store owner's son. Okay, y'all, that was the episode in a nutshell. Don't forget tonight at 7:05 Eastern Standard Time, we will be live to talk about this episode in greater detail. So please check it out. And if you enjoyed this video, okay, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Y'all, we are at 3,932 subbies, 3,932 sweet peas on the channel now, and I cannot be more excited. So grateful. Thank you for being here, but let's hurry up and get to 4K. Okay, because I've got something exciting planned for when we hit 4K. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope y'all have a great rest of your day.